Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Steve. This is The Phantom Show. First off, my sincerest apologies for not doing a video in so long. I actually recorded a video after the first part of Stranger Things Season 5 came out. I was ready to upload it. When I watched it back, I realized that the audio quality in the video was not very good and not really something that I wanted to put on my channel. So I was like, I'm gonna have to re-record that one. I planned to re-record it, but I got busy with holiday stuff, did not have a chance to re-record it. By the time I had a chance to come back to this project, the entire run of Stranger Things Season 5 had aired, so actually kind of worked out better because now I get to do a review of the entire show. And on that note, let me say that I am well aware there are YouTube channels out there with far more subscribers than I have and far better production values than I have, etc., that have analyzed this fifth season of Stranger Things to absolute death. I get it. I could have skipped it, but I mean, it is a huge fandom. It is a huge part of pop culture at the moment, so I thought, I do have to do a video on this. And of course, I'm a fan of Stranger Things as well. So let me go ahead and jump in. This review is not going to be as detailed as those other reviews out there because that is not how I roll. It's going to be some general thoughts and opinions of Stranger Things Season 5. So, first of all, we need to talk about length. Not of the entire season itself, but the episodes. A lot of the episodes were at least an hour long, and then, of course, the finale was 2 hours long. Now, that's nothing new for Stranger Things. They've done longer episodes in the past. But in regards to streaming television, I think 45 minutes to an hour is a sweet spot for episodes. I understand wanting to go more for either a premiere episode or a finale. 2 full hours for a finale is pushing it a little bit, I think. Not that I had any problems with Stranger Things finale, unlike some other people out there, which I'll talk about in a minute. I thought it was very well done, but I think it would have been better to maybe split it off into two 1 hour episodes, or maybe kind of condense it down a little bit, make it one 90-minute episode. I mean, a 2 hour television episode is basically a feature film. It's like sitting and watching a movie is 2 hours long. So it takes a bit to go through, and a lot of times you think of television, even though what we what television is has changed drastically since streaming services came out. But usually when you think of television, you think of getting your stories in shorter bites versus 2 hours, 3 hours at the movie theater. So I'm not necessarily saying the length was a bad thing, but I think in a couple of places it could have been thought through a little better, and it might have been a smart idea to maybe expand out the number of episodes while keeping the content the same, just to kind of balance things a bit more. Next thing is access. Ooh boy. So as a Stranger Things fan, I've watched every season diligently, and obviously I knew what was going on in season 5. If you have not watched the previous seasons, you are going to be pretty much completely lost. And I mean, you can watch recap to try to catch up, but you're still gonna miss things because there are so many references, so many callbacks, so many allusions to things that have happened before. And just to understand everything that's happened with the Upside Down, and Vecna, and the Demogorgon, and the Demon Flayers, and the whole thing from end to end, it's a lot. So if you're trying to jump into season 5 having not really seen the show, not recommended. It's not going to work. At least watch a recap on YouTube before jump into season 5, or maybe watch season 1 first to get an idea of what the show's about, and then if you want to watch recap and jump ahead to season 5, you could do that. But uh, I find a lot of shows by the time they get into later seasons, they basically assume, and not this is a bad assumption because it's true, but that most people watching it have watched the previous seasons and are deeply ingrained in the show's lore. So that is very much true of season 5. You do have to understand what's going on, or else you're going to be lost on so much stuff. A common complaint that's been voiced about this season is that the Duffer Brothers went for massive Marvel esque set pieces instead of doing uh, smaller, more intimate stuff. And part of that is, Stranger Things is one of Netflix's bigger franchises. So for this season 5, knowing it was going to be the last season, Netflix was like, hey boys, here's a blank check for you. Use all the special effects you want. Have fun. The Duffer Brothers were like, cool, man. We'll take you up on that. And they really went to town on some of these special effects in season 5. I'm not saying that it's bad. The epic demon flare in the final episode was absolutely incredible to look at. Movie quality, in my opinion, really, really, really well done. And shout out to Rambo slash Nancy for going totally badass in this season. Like, holy cow, where did this come from? Of all the people that I thought would be leading our troops into battle, I did not think it would be Nancy Wheeler, but hey, I'm totally here for it because for me personally, that was a highlight of the season. But in terms of the marvelous stuff, going through the big, bombastic, heavy visuals, that can be fun at times. The problem that you can run into, and this is what Marvel has encountered, is that when you do it too much, it's just sometimes a Marvel movie can be like a loose storyline stringing together a bunch of huge special effects scenes. And when you do that, you're kind of okay. The story's there, but it just needs to be this so we can do all this crazy stuff on the screen, And traditionally, Stranger Things hasn't been quite that intense. It's built up over the course of the show, but I think the earlier seasons are so well regarded because they had a smaller budget to work with, so they had to figure out how to do cool, scary stuff while still keeping it within a budget. And while it is neat to be able to, spend a whole lot of money on effects and do what your heart desires, it can hurt things a little bit creatively. Now, in terms of the character arcs and all that, with season 5, you have so many characters and so many things you have to address. You're not going to please everybody. With a fan base as big as Stranger Things, you're not going to please everybody, and there's plenty of people out there that weren't thrilled with how some of these character arcs wrapped up. Ultimately, it's the Duffer Brothers show. They can do what they want with it, and again, they're not going to please everybody. No director can, no showrunner can. It's the nature of the beast. On that note, I wanted to talk about plot armor. Now, you might not have a clue what that means, but what plot armor means is that when you're watching a TV show, you're watching a film, and you see a character get into numerous situations where they almost die, but they make it out again and again and again. That is plot armor. So basically, in the sense that this character is going to stay alive until the showrunners or directors say otherwise, and until that time, they cannot die. Even if they're in a situation that would easily kill you or me, they're not going to die because the writers need them to live. So if you haven't watched the Stranger Things season 5 finale, I've already spoiled a little bit of it. I'm going to spoil the rest here. Basically, every character lives except for controversially 11, which I'll come back to in a second. There was a lot of rumors before the finale went out that other characters were going to die. I heard rumors about Steve and Dustin, possibly Murray, possibly a science teacher whose name escapes me at the moment. But no, everybody got through except for 11. And some fans had a problem with that because they thought it was kind of unrealistic that you would send this many characters into an extremely dangerous situation. Almost all of them would come back in one piece. I can see that argument, but I'm not honestly sure if more character deaths would have made the finale more meaningful or more just, oh my god, what the heck is going on? All these people are dying. So it's kind of but um, I do think it would have been a little more impactful to maybe have like a secondary character die, like a Marie or something like that, just to kind of drive home this is a really dangerous situation and not everybody's going to come out alive. But in the case of Stranger Things, they did. Now, with regards to 11, if you watched the episode, you know that they left it kind of open ended as to what happened to her. Now, the creators have gone on record saying that, as far as we're concerned, she's dead. But the fans can come up with whatever theories they want. I tend to lean towards what the creators said because I think it makes sense for her to make the sacrifice to end the Upside Down to make sure that the experiments can't continue and that the good people of Hawkins can live in peace. It's fun to think of an alternate theory like we saw at the end of the episode where she might have been able to survive, etc., etc. But um, I, I don't know. That doesn't really work for me personally. So I'm on the side of 11 died. Now, even though the creators have said that the character died, they're also on record as saying that they left the ending open ended, so it's up to fans to interpret. So if you want to think that 11 is still alive, that's fine. You know, it's basically up to us how we want to take it. But in my opinion, uh, she passed away. So overall, I would give the fifth season. I'm gonna say an 8 out of 10. I do think some of the earlier seasons were stronger, but overall, this was very, very good. And the finale, in particular, for its shortcomings, was exceptionally well done. Some people said that the stuff after they defeated Vecna with all the coming back to Hawkins and the graduation and all that was a little bit drawn out, and it was, but it was nice to see. And I'll tell you what, that moment at the end where the kids are putting up their D&D binders, and basically the last scene, and then Mike watches his sister come down, and her little friends are playing D&D, and just to wrap the whole series up like that, I mean, that, in my opinion, was perfection. I absolutely loved that. It was a great, great, great note to go out on. So considering Stranger Things, the entire series, I'm very happy with it. Fantastic overall. Not perfect, but um, definitely worth the watch. Definitely, they've earned their fandom, and a huge shout out to the actors and the creators and everybody who worked so hard on that because it did turn out really, really well in the end, and that's about all I have to say about that. However, there is some non Stranger Things stuff to discuss. So, first of all, I posted about this. I didn't put the other video up, but I do want to take a moment to talk about the unfortunate loss of Rob Reiner. That whole situation was very tragic. For anybody who doesn't know, him and his wife were murdered by their son. Um, I don't know why exactly. I know the son has struggled with things. There was a report that he and Rob got into a fight at a Christmas party not long before he died, and I don't know all the details, but Rob Reiner was a terrific filmmaker. He had a streak in the late '80s to the early '90s, which was basically unmatched. I mean, he did Spinal Tap, he did Princess Bride, he did A Few Good Men, and there's a couple of others in there that I'm forgetting, but um, just a really talented filmmaker, and by all reports, a very good human being. So it was very, very sad to lose him right before Christmas, and I'm sure that was a pretty hard hit for the family. The X Files reboot is still a thing. Sinners director Ryan Coogler is handling it. I don't know if they're gonna be. I don't think they're recasting Mulder and Scully. I think it's gonna be new characters, but man, I'm really nervous about this one. The only reason I have a bit of hope is that Ryan Coogler is really good. If you haven't seen Sinners, see it. It's absolutely fantastic. There's one scene in that movie, I'm not going to give it away. It's one of the best scenes I've ever seen put to film. So I'm hoping that Ryan Coogler can do justice to the X Files. Can a show like the X Files still even be done similarly to what was done back in the 90s in 2026 or 2027? I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Um, Batman 2 is coming out. Robert Pattinson. There's going to be a sequel to that movie. I don't know who the villain is going to be yet, but they have announced a few casting changes recently. And the target date for that is October 27th. Excuse me, October 2027. So that'll be a happy Halloween surprise when it hits. I'm hoping that it's going to be really good. The Batman I thought was a very well done movie, so I do hope that the sequel turns into something quite enjoyable. So that is about all I have right now. There is one other thing that Stranger Things related, but I did post that video yesterday, so if you haven't seen that, please drop by and check it out. The last thing I wanted to talk about is that I am making a new video soon about Lego, so stay tuned for that one. And, well, I guess that's it for now, but don't worry, I will return in Avengers Doomsday.